It's been chippy. It started Sunday when Draymond Green was ejected for the hard foul on Brandon Clark towards the end of the first half. So he goes out, and you saw the way he left and all the rest of that. And then whether these were connected to each other or not, we then see just 3 minutes into Game 2, Dillon Brooks with the flagrant 2 after he fouls Gary Payton II hard on the layup. Unfortunately, Payton has a fractured elbow. He'll miss a month. We'll see if Brooks winds up being further suspended. And then just 14 seconds later, you saw Draymond involved again, took the elbow to the eye. He raised a couple of fingers at the crowd as he was leaving, and that one didn't look like it was. But I guess there are a bunch of questions to be asked about this one. I'll just start with the most general because it has been scintillating to watch. Who has the advantage in that series headed back to San Francisco?
I want to say the Golden State Warriors have the edge, even though they don't have Gary Payton II, because they stole one on the road. In particular, how they stole Game 1. That was Memphis' game to take.
Yeah.
And when you lose that game, as Draymond gets ejected, you have some calls go against you. Gary Payton II got a late offensive rebound for a free throw. They didn't foul after a possession when they should have let 10 seconds go off the clock. Klay Thompson missed 2 free throws. These are all uncharacteristic things that took place, and they still lost. So it was great they came back and responded in Game 2, and Ja Morant was terrific. But if I had to say who's in pole position, I would say the Warriors. But.
Yeah.
Klay's wheels ain't the same. And rightfully so. He just came back from 2 major injuries.
Yes.
And he was really laboring defensively. When you look at the Ja Morant clips, they were around Klay Thompson, a lot of them. I think he plays better when they get home.
The number at the bottom of your screen I'm seeing for the first time. I did not know that until they just put that up there, that our analytics still favor Memphis despite the fact that Golden State got the split on the road. And it makes me want to ask another question. Steph Curry plays for the Warriors. He's on a short list of one of the greatest players of all time. But is Ja Morant the best player in this series?
He's the most important player in this series. He's the guy, the one player that can literally just flat out take over a game for his team. Steph's got help. Ja Morant, you can talk about all the things, when he didn't play during the regular season, the Grizzlies won. That's great.
19-2, yeah.
That's great. That's in the regular season. The playoffs are a different animal. Huh? In the playoffs, Ja Morant, what he can do is different than anyone else on the floor, including Steph, because, look, we know what Steph can do. Ja Morant gets to the rim, gets to the rim, gets to the rim, gets to the rim. You know he's getting to the rim. He is the most important player in this series. And I'll tell you the other thing. You'd love this because it's your generation. These dudes in Memphis, they play like old school dudes.
Absolutely.
Right? They play with a chip on their shoulder.
Yeah.
I love Ja talking a little smack, walking up the court. I knew you did. I mean, I could have seen Jalen just doing the same thing.
But that brings up a question. In your era, a 6'1", 170-pound guy is not going in the painted area, leaving his feet on every single possession and not paying any kind of price. Will that change as the series goes forward?
That's not going to change as this series goes forward, because in today's game, physicality really doesn't exist to intimidate an offensive weapon. That's your point. Because usually a guy that size isn't always able to get to the rim and actually finish. And he did something that's an improvement that I want young players to pay attention to. He made the game-winning layup with his left one time. He missed the game-winning layup with his left one time. And I literally said to you, he got to add that floater. He got to add that floater. And then the next game, that's what he shot he shot and made it. But let me answer you. Yes, he's the best player in this series. And for everybody that gets confused, think about your MVP ballot. Was Steph Curry on there?
No.
Okay.
But Ja was.
Exactly.
And he was second team.
It's not a lifetime achievement. He's having a better season. That's why when people retroactively look back at the NBA and say how many MVPs a certain player had, I got to remind them it's about the performance of that season. Ja's been the most important and better player than Steph Curry this season.
He has MVP written all over him, right? He is going to be the MVP of this league someday. He's 22. He's 22 years old. Ja Morant is.
And he feels it. I mean, like, he knows it right now. Like right now, he's walking around going, you know what? Take a look at me, because I am the dude right now.
So I have to make sure I stress this, because they're going to miss Gary Payton a lot. And I think the Splash Brothers and Draymond are going to recover at home, and Jordan Poole has been outstanding in this year's playoffs. I want you guys to appreciate and marvel these high-flying dudes that be jumping in the air, jumping over 6'7", 6'8", 6'9" people and dunking the ball. because that floor is hard.
Yeah.
I say this all of the time. You saw Dwayne Wade, you see Ja Morant, you saw Gary Payton II. And what happened on the play with Gary Payton II, Dillon Brooks didn't wake up choosing violence. He didn't think he was going to hurt him that day. He saw him going for that dunk that we remember him having in game one. And he like, I can't let him do that. He tried to go whack his arm, hit his head, definitely deserves a flagrant, and definitely deserves to be disciplined.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a difference between a reckless play and a dirty player. He made a reckless play. He's not a dirty player. I don't think anyone is suggesting he's, even Steve Kerr isn't saying he's a dirty player, but it was obviously a terrible result, and it could have a lot of impact. All right, Jalen, stay close with me because I want to do more with you, and also take a bunch of vitamins because we got a busy weekend ahead. The one, the only Jalen Rose is back and better than ever.
Yes.
I don't think I've ever said this before, but I think he's going to get this trivia question right. Okay.
Yes.
James Harden is the last guy in the NBA to average 30 points a game 3 consecutive seasons. Who was the last guy to do it before he did it?
You're an amazing professional, and you did something with symmetry that you don't even realize you did.
Okay.
The first time you used the term answer. Okay. This time you didn't because you figured when I circled 3, I might know that the guy that averaged 30 points 3 consecutive years, I played against him all of those years, is Allen Iverson.
No, that's not right. It's Michael Jordan. It's Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan?
Michael Jordan.
AI didn't average 30 for 3 straight years?
In 3 consecutive years.
Wow.
Jordan did it in 7 consecutive years.
At least I made it sound good. You know what I mean?
That was
AI didn't do that?
Am I the only one?
Is that right? Is that right?
Okay. I didn't know what you were doing with the circling of it. Now I understand it.
I was dead wrong.
Okay. Yes, you were dead wrong. All right. Well, at least, you know what? Very on brand. All right. Let's get back to the highlights of last night. We got James Harden, and we got the Heat, and they are struggling. Seth Greenberg is with us as well today. Jalen, come on over here. Because James Harden, they just can't find room for him, and he can't find it for himself. Jalen.
And the one thing about James Harden, Greeny, that truly disappoints me is his lack of aggression, more so than his lack of production.
Yeah, you see him here. He wound up 6 for 15 on the night, 20 points, and then long rebounds lead to outlet opportunities. The Heat's defense is good, and when they get in transition, they're almost unbeatable. Certainly with this matchup, 22 points for Butler. Adebayo throwing that one down. He had 23, and then it's Butler again, this time on the other end of the alley-oop. So the Heat take the series lead 2-0. The Sixers are 0-13 in franchise history when they're down love too. James Harden, now what?
Things just didn't go our way as much as we needed it to, but for the most part, I mean, we're still a confident group, and we're going to go home and do what we're supposed to do. You know, like in the playoffs, the series doesn't start till, you know, the road team wins, and we didn't get one, you know, out of the first 2, but go home and take care of business, and we'll be back here for Game 5.
Well, look, if they're going to even get back to Game 5, they're going to need more from James Harden in Games 3, and certainly one of those in Games 3 or 4. It's 12 consecutive games now in the playoffs where he's under 25 points. He averaged 28 in the playoffs with Houston. The numbers have dropped since then. And so Jalen, and again, Seth is with us all morning long. I want to have 2 separate Harden conversations. Okay. Let's start in the small